Today's top stories. The European Union expresses satisfaction with the government's explanation on issues regarding the war on drugs. Government troops uncover extortion letters issued by the New People's Army to businesses in Negros Occidental. The NDRRMC calls on the public to remain calm and save water to cope with the water crisis. And the Vice Mayor of Marawi City is arrested for rebellion.
Good day, I'm William Theo. Welcome to the PNA Newsroom. The European Union's impression on the country's war on drugs has improved. The Philippine delegation in Brussels were able to clarify the issues regarding the government's campaign. The delegation also assures EU that safeguards against abuse are in place. Rom Dulfo has the story.
The European Union is satisfied with the Philippine government's explanation on the Duterte administration's campaign against illegal drugs. Presidential Task Force on Media Security, or PTFOM's Executive Director Joel C. Eggo says the Philippine delegation to Brussels was able to assure the EU that human rights violations are not a cause for concern in the country. Undersecretary Severo Catura of Presidential Human Rights Committee says EU is beginning to understand how necessary the aggressive crackdown on illegal drugs is in solving the country's drug mess. This despite the remark of UN High Commissioner for Human Rights Michelle Bachelet that the drug war should not be considered a model by any country. Catura emphasizes that the Philippines' election to another term in the Human Rights Council is a vote of confidence in the administration's human rights record. While there are flaws in the system, he says there are success stories that the government can highlight. For the PNA Newsroom, I'm Rom Dulfo.
The Commission on Elections says it is bracing for a possible power interruption should the prolonged dry spell impacts on the coming May 13 midterm elections. COMELEC spokesperson James Jimenez says they have generator sets available in case of power outages. Vote counting machines have 16 hours of battery life and reserve batteries. Jimenez says they can ask utility firms not to schedule power interruptions during the elections. More than 28 million ballots, or almost half of over 63 million ballots to be used in the elections, have already been printed. Jimenez says they expect to finish printing earlier than April 25. He also cautioned the public against malicious rumors intended to undermine public trust and confidence in the poll body. The Presidential Communications Operations Office, or PCOO, criticized the Communist Party of the Philippines, New People's Army, and National Democratic Front for derailing progress in the country. PCOO Undersecretary Lorraine Marie Badoy says the CPP-NPA-NDF held back the government's progress throughout its 50 years of existence. Badoy commends President Rodrigo Duterte for issuing Executive Order Number 70 creating the National Task Force to end the communist insurgency. She says the government is going after the roots of the communist insurgency, such as funding received through legal fronts like Rural Missionaries of the Philippines, Karapatan, and Ibon Foundation. She says the Philippine delegation who went to the European Union pointed out how countries donating to these legal fronts were actually funding terrorism and poverty in the country. Badoy also highlighted how the CPP-NPA-NDF tried to blame their own human rights abuses on the military and how political opportunists team up with these groups to pursue their political agenda. The Metropolitan Waterworks and Sewerage System, or MWSS, is blaming Manila Water's increased water treatment production for the decreased water level at La Mesa Dam. According to MWSS, Manila Water gets about 1.6 billion liters of water from Angat Dam each day. But because of increased demand by consumers of Manila Water at 1.75 billion liters per day, it also gets water from La Mesa Dam. The technical working group at the National Risk Reduction Management Council has decided that Maynilad will deliver 50 million liters of water every day to Manila Water. President Rodrigo Duterte announces the dismissal of more government officials. And the NDRRMC calls on the public to remain calm amid the ongoing water shortage. More on these and other news around the metro from Benj Bondoc.
Another set of government officials will be sacked in the coming days. This as President Duterte expressed frustration about the supposed persistent corruption in government. The latest to leave among his appointees was former PCSO General Manager Alexander Balutan. Meanwhile, NDRRMC Executive Director Ricardo Halad called on the public to remain calm amid the water shortage caused by El Nino. Halad assures that all concerned government agencies are working to ensure there is enough water for consumers and the agriculture sector. He says Angat Dam still has 199 meters elevation, which is higher than the minimum operating level of 180 meters. In other news, the flagship of the US 7th Fleet is in the country for a port visit. USS Blue Ridge arrived at Corregidor Island and was welcomed by BRP Davao del Sur on her way to the Port of Manila. The highlight of the visit is the staff talks between officials of the Navy and US 7th Fleet regarding mutual interests such as strategic, organizational, managerial, and personal training, as well as operational issues. For the PNA Newsroom, I'm Benj Bondoc.
Still to come, government troops uncover extortion letters issued by the New People's Army to businesses in Negros Occidental. And the Vice Mayor of Marawi City is arrested for rebellion. More on these when the PNA Newsroom continues.
We are now bringing this EU to seek your cooperation to stop the funding of these organizations so that your money will not be used to kill our people, because technically the funds are used by these terrorist organizations to harass our people, to sabotage government. These terrorist organizations for the last 50 years have committed mass murder. They have killed the leaders of indigenous people who refuse to cooperate with them.
International solidarity is a human rights framework, which I know EU and Belgium closely adhere to. And it's something which we would like to own ourselves. But it is a framework which is now being used by terrorists to get funding.
The Armed Forces of the Philippines is an institution that has put in place complaint and investigation mechanisms to address cases of human rights violations by its personnel. These mechanisms have been established by law, enacted to address widespread human rights violations by military personnel, drawing from bitter lessons in authoritarianism during martial law. Let me assure you all that the AFP does not tolerate actions that violate the human rights of any Filipino or any person.
The peace and order situation in the Philippines has significantly improved, as shown by the decrease in total crime rate in 2018 compared to previous years.
Ambassador, sir, may I hand over the 17 atrocities committed by the communist terrorist groups to our IPs or LUMAs, Philippine Lumans.
Mr. Deputy Director General, Admiral, thank you very much for this information. We will ensure that it is properly handled and move forward for the sake of our country and the prosperity of our IPs.
This is the first time that we submitted this documentary evidence against the communist terrorist groups. The most serious is mga leaders, tribal leaders were killed, murdered.
Contrary to what you have been receiving in Europe, all the bad things that you've been hearing about the Philippines, those are not true. Press freedom in the Philippines, it's alive and well. and journalists in the Philippines have never been more protected until now. So under the leadership of our President, Rodrigo Duterte.
Troopers of the Philippine Army's 15th Infantry Battalion found copies of the NPA's extortion letter being sent to construction companies in Negros Occidental. These were among the items seized following their encounter with communist rebels. The extortion letter bears the letterhead of Apolinario Gatmaitan Command, signed by Armando Magbanwa of the Regional Taxation Group. The extortion letter proclaims the right of the so-called People's Democratic Government to collect taxes. It also threatens those who do not settle their supposed tax obligations. Colonel Benedict Arevalo of the 303rd Infantry Battalion says the recovery of the extortion letter shows that the CPP-NPA-NDF is indeed an extortionist terrorist organization. He criticized how regular rebels do the dirty work in the countryside while their leaders and officers live luxuriously and comfortably in the cities. Finance Secretary Carlos Dominguez III has called for the fast-tracking of the construction of the new Centennial Water Source Kaliwa Dam project. Dominguez stressed the importance of the dam now that the eastern part of Metro Manila is experiencing a water crisis. Some 52,000 households who rely on Manila water does not have water supply. Dominguez says the process of bidding out and awarding of the 18 billion peso dam in Quezon Province is on its way. According to the Department of Finance, officials of the Philippines and China have already exchanged documents on the $211 million loan and guarantee agreements for the dam project. The Department of Agriculture, or DA, has ordered an investigation in the reportedly high prices of hybrid corn seeds in the country. Agriculture Secretary Emmanuel Piñol says multinational companies are allegedly selling hybrid corn seeds at the same price to farmers who have to shell out 12,000 pesos per hectare. Piñol says they will file charges against companies who are monopolizing and selling hybrid corn at a higher price. In order for the country to attain its 100% self-sufficiency in corn using hybrid corn seeds. Corn production from October to December 2018 reached 1.81 million metric tons from 1.63 million metric tons in 2017. Based on standing crop, corn production from January to March 2019 may increase from the previous year's level of 2.48 million metric tons. The Metro Cebu Water District plans to develop a new dam at the remaining water source in the hinterland. It also plans to desalinate seawater to augment Metro Cebu's water supply. MCWD Chair Joel Mariu says the most immediate measure the body could undertake is to build a new dam at the Mananga River in the mountain barangay of Camp 4 in Talisay City. The new dam is projected to generate an additional 80,000 cubic meters of water supply per day. MCWD is also embarking on desalination or the processing of seawater to make it potable. The water body is ready to bid out the desalination machine in 2 months' time after finalizing the terms of reference in implementing the project. Yu says the support of the provincial government and the cities of Cebu and Talisay is critical in the undertaking of the new dam project. Marawi City Vice Mayor was arrested for rebellion. Meanwhile, a plane from Taiwan overshoots the runway at Calibo Airport. More on this and other stories from the provinces from Janice Cave.
In Marawi City, Vice Mayor Arafat Salik was arrested by military and police operatives for rebellion. Colonel Romeo Bronner of the Army's 103rd Infantry Brigade says Salik is included in the arrest order of the Office of the Martial Law Administrator. He says Salik went into hiding when the arrest order was released in 2017 but emerged again after hearing reports that his name had been cleared. Salik is now placed under police custody. In Aklan, an aircraft from Taipei carrying 121 passengers experienced runway excursion at Bay 1 of the Calibo International Airport. The operation at the airport was stopped for more than an hour due to the overshoot. No passengers are reportedly harmed by the said incident. Investigation is still ongoing to determine the cause of the incident. In Davao City, the heart relic of Saint Camillus de Lelis was venerated by the doctors, nurses, and patients of the Davao Medical School Foundation and the Southern Philippines Medical Center. Saint Camillus de Lelis is the patron saint of the sick, doctors, and nurses. The heart relic has been transferred to San Pedro Hospital for a Eucharistic Mass and anointing of the sick. The solemn rite of acceptance and public veneration will be held on March 15 from 8:30 a.m. to 9 a.m. at San Pedro Cathedral. The relic will have its last stop at the Manila Cathedral before returning to Rome on April 1. For the PNA Newsroom, I'm Janice Cave.
Up next, the NDRRMC proposed immediate cloud seeding to ease the effects of El Nino. And Iloilo Hablon becomes the star of its own fashion show. The PNA Newsroom returns after these reminders. The National Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Council is looking into cloud seeding as a way to ease the effects of El Nino on the agricultural sector. The Department of Agriculture reported that damages brought by the dry spell have reached 464 million pesos in production loss and 22.9 million in volume loss. Over 13,000 hectares of farmland in regions 9, 10, 11, 12, Mimaropa, and BARMM are affected by drought. The DA has released 18.3 million pesos to regional offices for cloud seeding operations with the help of the Philippine Air Force. Cloud seeding has been recommended until May 21st. In sports, the Magnolia Hotshots used a massive scoring run in the fourth quarter to cripple Colombian Jeep 109-83. Ian Sangalang established the game for the Hotshots, shooting 16 points and making 6 rebounds. Rashawn McCarthy paced the Jeep with 19 markers, while CJ Perez had 14. The win boosted Magnolia's hopes to reach the quarterfinal round after starting their campaign with no wins and 3 losses. Meanwhile, NLEX dominated the undermanned Alaska Aces 91-70. The Road Warriors were left on their own after head coach Yeng Gia was thrown out due to 2 technical fouls. J.R. Kinahan finished 14 points with 7 rebounds, 4 assists, and 3 steals to lead NLEX. Jeron Teng failed to lift up the Aces even with 23 points and 4 rebounds. The search is on for skateboarders who will represent the country in the forthcoming 30th Southeast Asian Games. The Luzon leg of the regional championships will be held at the Robinsons Mall in Novaliches, Quezon City on March 23 and 24. The Visayas leg will be held in Cebu City on April 6 and 7, followed by the Mindanao leg in General Santos City May 25 and 26. The National SEA Games qualifier is scheduled in Santa Rosa, Laguna on August 24 and 25. 2018 Asian Games gold medalist Marjeline Didal is expected to grace the Visayas leg to inspire the SEA Games aspirants in her home province. The 19-year-old Didal is currently preparing for a series of tournaments to qualify for the 2020 Tokyo Olympic Games. The Iloilo Hablon will be the star of an upcoming fashion show in Makati. The show presents the Hablon as a fashionable and contemporary design that is also the best in Iloilo culture. Joyce Cudis has the story.
Iloilo's Hablon is no longer just an ordinary ethnic fabric, as an elite fashion show will feature it as a wearable, contemporary, and relevant textile. Imelda Canuel of Great Women Philippines Corporation says the fashion show will give the sense of knowledge to people that Iloilo stands their grounds in the textile world. The event, dubbed as Spring-Summer 219 GW Collection, places the Hablon under a form of branding. Great Women Philippines Corporation is collaborating with local designers to come up with their own designs and direction. It also looks forward to working with students of the Iloilo Science and Technology University, which has been offering programs on textile. The fashion show will take place at the lobby lounge of Makati Shangri-La on March 30. For the PNA Newsroom, I'm Joyce Cudis.
Let's now check out the weather forecast for Metro Manila and the rest of the country. Let's take another look at today's biggest stories.
The European Union expresses satisfaction with the government's explanation on issues regarding the war on drugs. Government troops uncover extortion letters issued by the New People's Army to businesses in Negros Occidental. The NDRRMC calls on the public to remain calm and save water to cope with the water crisis. And the Vice Mayor of Marawi City is arrested for rebellion.
Thank you for watching another edition of the PNA Newsroom. To check out these and other stories, visit the PNA website or follow the Philippine News Agency on Facebook and Twitter. For more stories about the government and how it serves the Filipinos, look for these hashtags in all of our social media platforms and websites. And that's your daily dose of the latest news and information that you need to know. From the PNA Newsroom, I am William Theo. Good day.